All right, it's July 16th. Happy birthday, Mom. Um, we're gonna go ahead and start blowing the IRS apart. I started by picking up the oil mat that I had. They're really nice. You can get them like O'Reilly's and stuff, and it's like a 4x3 sheet. Um, and if you have something British, then it's really useful because it catches drips. But it was full of the tarry goo that was all over the IRS, and so I threw it away, which is what it's for. I figured out that the English clearly created air quotes because they would say, now this is a seal and this keeps the fluid inside. It seals the unit. Of course, none of these did. There's globs of grease all over the place. And the rope seal on the XK engine is renowned for dumping oil all over the place. As they say, Jaguar's patented anti-corrosion system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by simply going through and breaking loose all of the bolts that I can get at. Now this unit shows no signs of corrosion at all. I was watching Dave Hegley's IRS teardown. Actually, he was just doing the brakes video, and it becomes clear that you can't undo some bolts if you've already taken parts off. So for example, you will find it almost impossible to break the bolts loose for the disc brakes if you've taken out the half shafts, because you need the half shaft in order to have enough leverage to keep the brakes from moving, unless you want to put a crowbar on the bolts, which of course has its own issues. So that's what I'm going to start with, just going through and bang those through. I had to go and scrape the chunks of tarriness that had stuck to the floor, vacuum those all up, so got everything pretty much cleaned up. Alright, so I'm proceeding along, and there you can see the brake caliper bolt. Which should have safety wire in it, but it doesn't. So that's not surprising, but shit didn't fall off, so I guess we're okay. So I'm just gonna keep plucking away at it. All right, it's 10 to 12, so I've been out here for an hour and 50 minutes. I got the shocks off, put them down there with the springs next to the new shocks. Those are Sachs, which are the premium brand that owns Boge, B-O-G-E, or Bodge, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. But I got those for 50 bucks a piece. There's the bolts in the sleeves for the top mounts for the shocks. I put those inside with the hardware kit inside of each of the shocks. So that's where those are. And then I've also taken off the actuator for the handbrake. One thing to note is that this pin was on the inside of the two holes. I'm not sure if that's right, but that's where it was. And at first I thought this looked pretty cheesy because it's like two pieces of metal stuck on there, but it's riveted, so that would suggest that it's factory. That's good. We're going to leave that, and so now I'm going to take the handbrake or emergency brake actuators off the calipers, which That should allow me to easily remove the brake lines, and then I should be able to pull the calipers out. I backed them off a little bit. I put a bucket under the line and pushed them back, and both sides turned free. And I got a little bit of fluid out, but not very much. So I'm going to take the brake calipers out, and then I'll probably break for lunch, and I want to see what's involved in taking this out. I expect that it's pressed, and so we'll have to see what's what with that. I'll probably have to take it into a machine shop and get them pushed out. You know, all the fasteners have come loose. In fact, the hardest ones have been the nylock style. The other ones, you know, maybe a little bit of, I haven't had the hammer or anything. Somewhere around here I've got my copper pipe, my extension that I use. So, I'll continue on, update you when I get the brakes off. Alright, it's been just a couple of minutes. I got the emergency brakes calipers out. Couple of notes is that the locking tabs on neither emergency brake were flipped over, and then this one has all kinds of meat on the pads. This one suffered from disappointment. Doesn't look like I don't see any heinous unnatural acts committed on the rotor from that, but yeah, that's not good. That pad on the right's just gone. And again, the tabs weren't bent up on this one. It may be that somebody tried to do a brake job from underneath without dropping it, and so couldn't get at them. That would be my guess. Anyway, I'm going to disconnect the hydraulic lines. I do have a flared set for that. Hopefully it's Craftsman. If it's Harbor Freight, I'm sure I'll end up being really disappointed, because their hand tools, in my experience, suck. But that's what we're going to do next. Alright, so I took a break to eat lunch and watch IndyCar qualifying, and I got that cross pipe off. It's right there. Now I'm going to take this one off. Both of the bolts are already broken loose. This thing weighs a ton, which is bad, but on the other hand it's good because it makes a really stable platform for breaking loose these bolts. I already got the bolts loose for the calipers, so in theory once I get that pipe off, which again I'm only doing now because it's convenient, because the mast provides a stable platform. I'll see about removing the brake pads and then pulling those caliper bolts, which apparently you can't get them all the way out. You can only get them backed off, and then it slides off. So you know, there's a lot of evidence that the British car industry died because of the unions and government interference and all that kind of stuff. A lot of it's obviously really bad business people, because you know the UK knew that the US was their #1 export, and yet when they built their premier sports car, they built it for right-hand drive first, and then hacked it to get left-hand drive. So putting hydraulic fluid right next to the exhaust manifold, and the Rube Goldberg throttle linkage has like 14 pieces in it or something. But there's also really bad engineering too. So take this caliper. So I did get the other one out. You notice that the rear end is offset to the passenger side. So you got that bolt back in there, and the bolts can't come all the way out. And so unless you disassemble the whole thing, you can't do something simple like change the brake rotor. So I can imagine somebody saying, hey, fake pretended British accent, you know, it costs more for our customers to change disc rotors than it costs to send a Ferrari V12 back to Italy and have Mr. Ferrari himself rebuild it. And they say, it's the Americans buying them, fuck them. This is just dumb. So you can kind of see why these things ended up being hacked, is that, you know, there was, you know, zero thought put into assembly or serviceability. It's just really amazing. Anyway, I think I'm gonna have to take the rotor off, which means taking off the U-joint axle, stub axle, in order to get the caliper off. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Should only be 8 bolts. See how it goes. They're nylocks, which is kind of surprising on something that touches brake, but we'll see how it goes. All right, I'm gonna quit. Basically, I can't get any of these nuts holding this side on loose. They're all trying to round off on me. They're a really poor choice from an engineering perspective, because they're the kind of acorny looking ones. I think they're nylocks. The ones on the other side were for sure. But that only leaves like maybe 3/16 of an inch of actual material for your socket to get on, and so they're all rounding off. So I may end up just having to get the die grinder and cut those bolts off, and then press new studs in there. I may have to do that on the other side anyway. Somebody's been in here, so you know it's badly engineered. But the other thing is that somebody's been in here before, obviously, because on the other side 3 of the nuts were 5/16 and one of them was 11/16, and this side they all seem to be 11/16. And I doubt that's the way it came from the factory, but I don't know. Ouch. Yeah, probably not. So, ouch. I'm gonna quit for the day. Had a good run, but still can't get that out. I think in order to get that caliper out, you've got to be able to take that whole left side out, or I'm guessing that at the factory they had all the brakes and everything all hooked up to the pumpkin, mounted the pumpkin to the top brace, and then put everything up underneath it. Again, kind of one-dimensional in thinking, but I'm pretty sure that's what they did, because this wasn't designed for you to be able to get that caliper out through that hole. The other side you can, but that side you can't.